Mahadani Ermolek, Indragiri Hulu, Riau. And I will be the one of who is in charge in guiding you all in the second session of today's seminar agenda. The Association of Community Service Lecturers of Indonesia, or ACSLI, membership has spread across 32 provinces throughout Indonesia, from Aceh to Papua, with central management in Padang, West Sumatra, and regions in 32 provinces. ACSLI has collected 1,000 state and private university lecturers from 100 sub-institutions throughout Indonesia. In implementing the three dharma of higher education, research, and community service, and developing networks to improve the quality of human resources, ACSLI has various programs which are carried out continuously every semester. And one of the program is Community Service Activity Online Series, or PkM OSA. And the today's programs is the 7 Community Service Activity Online Series ADPI, PkM OSA, is in the form of the international seminar. And the Community Service Online Activities Online Series ADPI, PkM OSA, has been held since 2019. The Community Service Activities Online Series, or ACSLI, PkM OSA, aims to increase synergy in community service activities throughout Indonesia and abroad. The second one is to collaborate among stakeholders. And 3, recommend a policy brief to the and to increase community empowerment through community service activity in all provinces in Indonesia, to provide recommendation for solution for regional development and improving community welfare. We happily declare that this semester we are holding Community Service Activities Online Series ADPI, or PkM OSA Batch 7. The theme of the today's seminar is International Seminar on University Community Engagement. The second session of the today's seminar is from 1:30 p.m. to 3:15 p.m. and it will also be broadcasted through Zoom as application, and streaming YouTube. The agendas for the second session are as follows. First, opening by the moderator, who has spoken already. The second one is the presentation of the keynote speakers. And for today, for this session, our keynote speakers are Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, India, and Rama Octavian ST MSc, a PhD student from University of Sheffield, United Kingdom. We proudly announce that after the keynote speakers have presented their materials, there will be time for the audiences to ask questions to them. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the presentation of our keynote speaker. Each speaker is given 50 minutes to present his material, and we will also give chance to participants to give questions. Each participant may give 1 question only, and we limit the question for 3 questions only. The first speaker is Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, India.
Thank you for your kind introduction. And can I start my presentation, or am I interrupting in between?
Is it okay if I read your curriculum, Peter?
Okay, please. Okay, please.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi is a Harvard University certified in the art of writing and public speaking, and a university faculty specialized in linguistics and literature in the School of Language and Literature at Sri Mata Vaishno Devi University, India. His research interests include language documentation, writing descriptive grammars, and the preservation of rare and endangered language in South Asia. He has created the following courses for prestigious academia and Udemy. First, academic writing on academia, Analyzing Text, Introduction to Literary Criticism and Theory on Academia. 3. Understanding Syntax on Udemy. Literary Criticism and Theory on Udemy. Stylistics on Udemy. Literary Text Analysis, Theory and Practice on Udemy. The National Digital Library of India, or NDLI, Ministry of Education, India, features his 19 lectures in the public domain. Also, the UNESCO Atlas as the World's Language in Danger refers to his 2 works on the Badawi language on its official website. His published books are found in the libraries of the University of Stanford and Princeton. He has contributed numerous papers to many science, citation index, and Scopus journals, and contributed more than 180 research chapters to knowledge resources, chiefly EBS-CO, and to encyclopedias published by Springer, Nature, SAGE, Roman, and Littlefield, and ABC-CLOI publications. He has also been a co-director for a research project entitled A Comprehensive Study of Culture, Philosophy, Literature, and Language of Jammu and Kashmir, sectioned by the Indian Council of Social Science Research. His most recent books are A Grammar of Sarasi, Dogri and its Dialects, A Grammar of Hadith, A Grammar of Badawi, and a poetry collection titled China Ka Sukha Pata in 2015 in Hindi, and Something Looks It Seems, 2017, Malta House, Texas. As a poet, he has published numerous poems in different anthologies, journals, and magazines worldwide. Until recently, his poem Mother has been published as a product to Motherhood and War International Perspective, Palgrave Macmillan Press. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome Dr. Dwight Devi. Well, Doctor, the floor is yours.
Thank you for your kind introduction. And okay, no problem. Shall I start? Shall I start?
Wait, sir.
Okay. Okay. Can I start, or is it something you want to show?
I think there is a technical problem first, sir. Okay. Wait, yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
I'll contact the committee. Okay, Mr. Amita, Dr. Amita, I think you can present your presentation now.
Yeah,
What about
fine.
the presentation material?
I will share PPT on my own.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Fine. Yeah, good afternoon, all of you.
Good afternoon.
And I will discuss certain issues associated with uh, language teaching and education policy. So recently, I would like to inform you that recently, only last year, new education policy 2020 was introduced in India. And my focus in this presentation is to deal with the issues concerning multilingualism and teaching method. So though this policy was introduced in India, but I know that Indonesia is also a multilingual country, and English is again a second language or a foreign language there. So these teaching methods, they'll be helpful in implementing second language or the official language or the foreign language English, as well as it will also suggest certain ways through which the regional, the indigenous language can be saved or can be documented, or they should not be ignored. So this is the title I have given to this presentation: Education, New Education Policy 2020 in India, Issues Concerning Multilingualism and Teaching Method. Now there are 21 fundamental principles in the document prepared by Government of India. It is a 65 pages document, and everything is very much conceptual. So it is not a descriptive, but one can have many or multiple interpretations of that small document of 65 pages. So out of those 21 fundamental principles, here my focus is on to deal with the ninth fundamental principle. And the ninth fundamental principle promotes multilingualism and the power of language. Now, multilingualism is a concept, a technical term, a jargon in applied linguistics, we all know. But the power of language is a metaphor. And this metaphor is used to emphasize that how multilingualism is an asset. It is not a burden. So it is not the case that the government of India is using this flowery language, these metaphors like power of language to emphasize multilingualism. But if we look at the principles in applied linguistics and what applied linguist actually said. So one such applied linguist is Vivian Cook, and Vivian Cook calls multilinguals as multi-competent. So the bottom line is, if we know more than one language, then actually we are multi-competent. But we need to tap this multi-competency. But how we can tap this? This presentation will deal with that. So the new education policy 2020 in India is guided by 21 fundamental principles, out of which the ninth principle states that in order to facilitate teaching and learning, multilingualism and the power of language are to be utilized. Now we are quite aware of what is the meaning of multilingualism. Using more than two languages in teaching and learning. Now in India, most of the people, they are multilingual. Like I know four to five languages that are spoken in India. So similar thing I expect in Indonesia, that people are multilingual. So we need to use this multilingualism as a boon, not as a curse, as a boon and as a powerful tool through which we can accelerate teaching and learning process. So we all are polyglot. We all speak more than one language, and how we can utilize this thing. That is the focus of this presentation. Now we know the difference between mother tongue and the other tongue, or we know the difference between mother tongue or the second language. And what this policy says that wherever possible, the medium of instruction until at least grade 5, but preferably till grade 8 and beyond, will be the home language, mother language, local language, oblique regional language. So again, it is a students friendly or users friendly approach, because there is a possibility that teachers are quite comfortable in second language. Teachers are quite comfortable in the dominant language of that region. But we need to look at our students. If students are not comfortable, then the entire education will become a burden for them. So the government of India does not want that thing to happen. So for that, the focus is that pick the language till grade 5, whether it is a home language of the student or mother tongue, local language, regional language. Second thing is, teachers will be encouraged to use a bilingual approach. Now, this is quite important because when it comes to higher education in India, the medium of instruction is English. Now, this document provides a freedom to teachers that even they are teaching English, but if they think that certain concepts are to be taught using bilingual approach, they can use them. So for that, we require bilingual teaching learning material. That means we require translated text. So because in India, like around 100 languages are spoken in different states. So the thing is that the person needs to use those languages if person wants to facilitate the students. So for that, what will happen, that high quality textbook, particularly translated. Let's say a book is in chemistry, 12th standard, that is to be translated in the regional language. So including in science will be made available in home language oblique mother tongue. All efforts will be made early on to ensure that any gaps that exist between the language spoken by the child and the medium of teaching are bridged. So here the problem is why good researchers are not coming from India, why good researchers are not coming from, let's say, Southeast Asia, only from Europe, only from the US, only from China. So why is it so? Because there is a gap between the medium of instruction and the language spoken by the child. So in order to bridge that, it is required that translated material in higher studies, advanced books, in books in sciences, banking, commerce, that is available to students. So we have this concept of acquisition and learning that are associated with language. So we know like mother tongues are acquired and the second languages are learned. But there is one problem in this document as well, that mother tongue, home language, local language, and regional language, they are used parallelly. Now, when we use them parallelly using oblique, then there is a possibility that out of two regional languages, one regional language is dominant and the other is not. Or let's say two other dominant regional languages are there and 5 other regional languages are minor languages. So there is a possibility that when we use these terms in oblique, then there is a possibility that the minor regional languages are get ignored. So we need to take care of that thing as well, that though we are focusing on regional language, we are focusing on local language, but we need to take care of both the major regional language and the minor regional language. So for that, we need bilingual approach, at the same time, bilingual teaching learning materials. Now, bilingual approach teacher can use, like I am a multilingual, my mother tongue is Hindi language. So I can switch over from English to Hindi anytime. That is not a problem. But the problem is the text, whether the reference books are available in that in that language or not. So this language policy in India will bridge this gap and provide bilingual teaching learning materials, because there is a provision to establish translation centers, and those translation centers will provide various projects to teachers, to researchers, to students, and the translation will be available. Now, when we talk about this bilingual method, then this bilingual method is not something that is not scientifically proved. It is very much scientifically proved. And there is one teaching method given by Dodson. And what it says when it comes to language teaching, it says the preferred basic text are dialogues accompanied by a picture strip. So this will be the look like of a book in a translated text, particularly when you are teaching language. So meanings are conveyed bilingually to avoid meaninglessness and parroting. The pictures are used as an aid to recall and practice of the related dialogue sentence rather than as conveyors of meaning. The understanding of words and sentences in foreign languages can be made easier by the use of mother tongue. So when we look at these four principles of bilingual method, we can say that bilingual method is the combination of direct method and grammar translation method. So we do not have any problem in saying that. But we also know that why bilingualism is to be promoted, because we know that children pick up things extremely quick when it is taught in the mother tongue. And it is supported by critical period hypothesis when we study language and brain. So this critical period hypothesis is actually proposed by Penfield and Roberts, and it is popularized by Lenberg in Biological Foundations of Language, and it claims that there is a time frame during which whichever language is taught to a child, the child will pick up, or child will simply acquire that language. So we know that most of the Indians, they are not fluent in English language because English is their second language, and we know that their mother tongue is different. Some Indian language, some Dravidian language. So multilingualism has a cognitive benefit to young students. Children will be exposed to different languages early on, but the emphasis on mother tongue. So it is not saying that we are not going for English. We are going for English, but the foundation, the base will be the mother tongue, and then we will build the building of second language on it. So all languages will be taught in an enjoyable and interactive style. That is also the focus of this. And this thing is supported by a teaching method, a Suggestopedia, where the emphasis on that a student must feel comfortable and relaxed. Now, when we talk about languages, particularly the focus here is Indian languages, then as I said, like in India, like 100 languages are spoken, but not all 100 languages are the part of the Constitution of India. Only the major languages, they are the part of the Constitution of India. And which are those languages? These 22 languages are actually the part of 8th schedule. So now here problem arises that at one place we are saying that, okay, the medium of communication will be in regional languages. And if we mention only the 8th schedule languages, which are major regional languages, then what will happen to minor regional languages? Because as such, you are not mentioning them in the document, then there is very much a possibility that minor languages are going to be neglected. And there are certain states in India like Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh. They are huge states, like area-wise equal to or more than Britain, England. So here we do not have any specific language as such. So otherwise, like different geographical areas, they have different language. For example, Jammu and Kashmir has a language like Dogri and Kashmiri. Both are the part of 8th schedule. But when it comes to Rajasthan, a state, the largest state in India, Uttar Pradesh, a larger state, Madhya Pradesh, a larger state, there is no as such regional language that is the part of 8th schedule. And there is a fallacy, a misunderstanding that all the people speak Hindi language. That is not the case. By the way, Hindi is the a major language in India. So we have this formula, 3-language formula, that is very much intact and part of this new education policy 2020. But at the same time, the focus is that no language will be imposed on any state, because India has different states. So those states must not feel threatened that, okay, we are going to impose Hindi language, we are going to impose any other major language on them. So 3 languages learned by children will be the choices of states, regions, and of course the student themselves, so long as at least 2 of the 3 languages are native to India. All efforts will be made in preparing high quality bilingual textbook and teaching learning material for science and mathematics. So this is like more important, that higher education, particularly in science, in technology, must be given in the native language. There is one fallacy that I found in this document, because there is one thing that is used, and what it says, like, India's languages are among the richest, most scientific, most beautiful, and most expressive in the world. Because when we study the theoretical principles of linguistics, then it says like all grammars are equal. That is one thing, and that is following the principle of parity. But at the same time, to say something that a language is scientific is not correct. We can say that scientific material can be published in a particular language. That is okay. But we say like language is scientific or language is unscientific. That is wrong. If we say a language is beautiful or language is ugly, that is again a wrong metaphor that we are using. So all languages are equal when it comes to grammar, linguistically. And we know the fact that English is certainly the language of science in the modern world, with an estimated 98% of all scientific publication being written in the English language. So this is a bit threatening. This is a bit threatening where most of the population is not English speaking, or when they learn English only when they enter a formal institution like a convent school, or let's say a college or a university. So this is a threatening thing, that why 98% of all scientific publication is in the English language and not in the other languages. So this is actually a threatening thing, and this is to be addressed properly, and that's why new education policy 2020 is focusing on that. At the same time, when we say that regional languages and local languages are to be promoted, then the thing is that we need to make language learning fun. So for that, this new education policy says that a common phonetic and scientifically arranged alphabet and scripts are to be taught to students. Then common grammatical structures are to be found out. Then etymology of Sanskrit and other classical language are to be taught, because we have a Sanskrit language, and that Sanskrit language is 5,000 years old. So that means like if a language is 5,000 years old, then we must have a knowledge system in that language, knowledge system related to medicine, knowledge system related to warfare, knowledge system related to philosophy and religion. So we must know what is actually there in the Sanskrit language, because Sanskrit is not, Sanskrit has become a knowledge of religion in India. And technically, this language is to be promoted so that people can read those texts and they can understand what is there. So lots of knowledge is there in Sanskrit. So the focus is that the words from Sanskrit and other classical languages like Arabic, fine, from Latin are to be taught to students. And there is an initiative by government of India, that Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat. So how it is to be done? For example, 22 languages are scheduled in the 8th column in the Constitution of India. So in this Ek Bharat Shresth Bharat program, one state is associated with another state for 1 year. So one state will communicate to other state, they will arrange, they will try to understand each other better, they will try to understand their culture, their food habits, their language, and this is to be organized each year. So every student in the country will participate in the fun project activity of the languages of India between the grade 6 and 8. And this is a project activity, and there is no assessment for that. So that means the student can enjoy it without fearing getting grades or less grades. Then, as I said, like the focus is on building knowledge system. I believe that in Indonesia or in other countries like these, there are people from very ancient time, and there is some knowledge system there. So if the languages are not protected, then that means that knowledge system is going to be it's gone forever. So here, Sanskrit is one such language. Sanskrit will thus be offered at all levels of school and higher education as an important enriching option for students, including as an option in the three language formula. It's an option. Again, non-native speaker must not feel threatened that, okay, it is going to be imposed. So Sanskrit will be taught through the use of Sanskrit knowledge systems, literature and others, and in particular through phonetics and pronunciation. Besides Sanskrit, other classical and European languages. So what are those classical languages? Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia, Pali, Persian, and Prakrit. So these are the other options a student can pick. And a student can also pick from the European language. Which are those European languages? Like Korean, Japanese, Thai, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian. So at secondary level. So like so much is the focus on the regional languages, classical languages, and European languages. Other thing is teaching is focused and teaching is to be based on experiential learning pedagogy. Now, what is this experiential learning pedagogy? Teaching of all language will be enhanced through the innovative and experiential methods, including through gamification and apps. Now, I will give you one example. What is this gamification? An app you already know. We have Android phone, we have iPhone, and we have different applications. But gamification thing is more important. So we will discuss what is this gamification. The use of game design element in non-game context. We know education is a serious thing. Learning is a serious thing. Learning is a disciplined activity. But is there a possibility that we can include in this disciplined activity some non-game, some game context or game design? So how we can engage student, motivate student to retain whatever is taught to them. That is basically the part of gamification. So like gamification includes problem-based or case-based learning. And was it like you start your lesson with telling a story, or you must focus on an interest arousing issue and like particularly a contemporary issue, not very old, so that it is in the mind of the learners. You can create an empathy with the central characters, a comparison, and you can use direct quotations from the character that is relevant to the reader. And when you select these motivational thing, these engaging things, then you must look whether they have some pedagogic utility or not, whether they are conflict provoking, they are decision enforcing, or has generality or not. But whatever you do, when you start a class, then this must be short. It is not like the half of the time is going on this telling a story. It must be short, like 5 to 7 minutes, and then you come to the main topic that you can do. I'll give you one example here. Let's say I'm a linguist and I teach phonetics and phonology, morphology, theoretical syntax to my students. Now, let's say in my phonetics and phonology class, I am teaching them two sounds, p and b. Now, p is a bilabial sound, b is also a bilabial sound. P is a plosive sound, b is also a plosive sound. The only difference between p and b is like p is a voiceless sound and b is a voice sound. But here I am teaching them that per sound has more strength and b sound has less strength. So what I can do, it is a very conceptual and theoretical thing. I will tell a story. P is for Parker and B is for Barber, like two characters. So what is the story? Once upon a time, there were two friends, Parker and Barber. Though they were equal in their mental abilities, Parker was more powerful. So the student can associate Parker, per sound is fortis because it has more strength. B sound is Barber. Barber is like a lean and it is Lennis sound. So this is one just example. So you need to be more creative. You need to think of like how I can include some gamification. How can I include some fun activity in my exercise and teach them. So this is all from my end, from my side. And this is my presentation. And if you have any doubt or questions or any observation, please raise it, or you can also put in the chat box.
Well, thank you, Dr. Amitabh. Okay, there were some questions from the audience to Dr. Amitabh. First come
Yes.
from Windy Puspitas. Hello,
Yes.
Mr. Amitabh Fikran Dwivedi. I am Winnie Puspitasari Suparto from Indonesia. Nice to see you again here. Well, I have a question for you, sir. In India, it has 22 languages. Can all languages be applied in Indians or not? And how long did it take them to understand all those languages?
Um, India is a big country, so you can't understand all the languages because minimally, if you start learning a language, it requires like 6 months to 1 year time. And basically, what is the motivation? Like if you are working in your own native environment where there is no need to speak a foreign language, then definitely you will not speak that language. So language acquisition become uh, more powerful when the language is used in day-to-day conversation with your peers, with your friends. So that is one thing. But these 22 languages are the part of different state. Like we have different state, we have 4 to 5 language families in India. Like Indo-Aryan is the largest one, so most of the languages are the part of Indo-Aryan language family. Like Hindi is also Indo-Aryan language, a part of Indo-Aryan. Gujarati is also, but Gujarat is a different state, and Hindi is spoken in like 4 to 5 states. Punjabi is a different language that is spoken in Punjab. So it's like it's not possible to learn all the 22 languages. You can learn. I'm not saying like no one can learn. You can learn, but it depends upon your focus. Like if you are quite comfortable working with English and your mother tongue, let's say Hindi, Gujarati, then why will you learn? So that is a thing. But if you try, then you can learn. But where will you find the speaker if you are living in different state? And with whom you will talk to? So you can't talk to yourself. So again, like if you do not find the speaker to whom you talk to, then again, like language learning will become a futile activity. So that is, these are the things that we need to take into consideration. Again, the next thing is like employability. Like generally people learn language because they know like they will get some employment out of it. If you are not getting anything out of it, not neither employment nor speakers nor any fun, then obviously language learning is not like so easy. We know like it's a difficult thing to learn a different language.
Okay, sir, thank you. Like in Indonesia, India, we also have multilingual languages from any parts of Indonesia, and usually every 5 years we have a Congress of Language we held in Indonesia, maybe like that in India. Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay.
I have one question for you, sir. Is it okay?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I have some difficult problems in teaching my students in English, and I have done some funny methods in class, like giving them ice breaking first and giving them fun with phonetics. But however, they still feel ashamed when they are asked to speak up. So, is
Yes.
there any solution to overcome this problem, sir?
uh, you need to give them more chance. You need to make them more ashamed, then they will become more fluent.
Oh, okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, audience, is there anyone here want to give Mr. Dr. Amita questions? Uh, okay, I think it's all, sir. No more question for you.
There is something by Hartati, but it is written in I think Indonesian language, so I can't read it.
Yes,
But
sir.
I don't know what is that.
Mm,
Hartati Ratna. Hartati Ratna.
Arpati. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Uh,
Okay. There is. What do you think, sir? Do you agree if it is better to start learning English early, elementary school? Uh, like any language, if a student or a learner learns early, then it is better, and it is conforming to critical period hypothesis. that is very much there. But we also need to think of what will happen to indigenous language, what will happen to our own culture, what will happen to our own languages, regional languages. So it is better you start English language learning from the very elementary level, but not on the price of your own indigenous language. Like it should not happen that students are only speaking English and forgetting their culture, forgetting their regional languages, home languages, and they are feeling ashamed of using their home languages in the public sphere, because that is our identity. So it should not happen. It should not happen that, okay, only English and no other language. That should not happen. And that is basically the focus of. So even like a student, they want to learn English language from early, it's better. But they should also learn their native language. They should also learn their native culture, their native customs, and the respect for their country, the respect for the people of their country. Then the country will grow. Otherwise, everyone will learn English and try to just leave that country and go to foreign land. Then what will happen to the people of that? So that should not happen. We know that some adult people say that student can be confused till they learn English. They said that students should start learning. Yes, they can start English learning. There is no harm. There is no harm, but not on the price of the regional languages, not on the price of regional culture.
Okay. Okay, audience, do you still have questions to Mr. Amitabh? Okay, Miss Yosa, Novia.
Assalamualaikum. Selamat. Sorry. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning.
Yeah, in India still morning. Sikram
it's afternoon. It's afternoon. It's 1 o'clock.
It is afternoon. Yeah. Same with Indonesia. We are at 2 o'clock p.m. today. I am Yosanavia from the committee. Thank you so much for you attending in our events. It's make our event very successful. Today it's a different with your topic. Maybe I would like to ask you about how India collaborate about service, university, community engagement, and research in your country. As we know that Indonesia have 3 dharma, we call that teaching, community service, and also research. How about in your country? Maybe they are same or different. Okay, thank you, Mr.
Yeah, they are same, and we pay more attention to research. It is like in our university, we need to publish 2 papers each year in Scopus and SCI, either Scopus or SCI index journals. So we are very particular about, even like my doctoral students who are doing their PhD research under me, under my supervision. So they need to do entire in their research 2 publication in Scopus and SCI journal. Otherwise, they can't submit their thesis. At the same time, again, the focus is on you need to attend various reputed conferences, seminars, symposiums, also thing that is there. So it's like research is very much the core part of our university, and not my university, but other universities in India. At the same time, teaching should not be compromised. So there is a fine balance between teaching and research. So far, the community service is concerned, there is not that much like force or focus on the teachers, but it is based on volunteerism. Like if you volunteer to do social service, then it's like appreciable. Otherwise, there is no force from the government that you must do some social service at the same time. That is there. So in our university, there is a club like Vikalp Club, and there is a faculty coordinator, and students, they voluntarily participate, and they teach students from the nearby villages, like the students who are underprivileged, who are not privileged to have this good education in my university. So those students in the evening, they come and then they take part in various activities, and students, volunteer students, they just provide them that service. But it is not enforced by the government that you must do. You can do out of your free will, but it is not forced. But teaching and research you must do. Otherwise, you will not get increment. The yearly increment you will not get.
Okay, thank you, Mr. So it's separate with teaching and learning in our in your university, right?
During this time, like your question is concerned about this COVID-19 time, related to COVID-19. Yes, okay. So like in my university and most of the universities in India, we have like 50% students, they are coming, like the continuing students, they are coming to the classroom physically on site, and 50% students, they are learning online. The new students are learning online. Otherwise, the continuing student, the senior students, they are coming to the class, and we are doing like face-to-face teaching. So this COVID-19 is not affecting us that much. It's the God's grace that Indian people have good immunity, that people are not suffering that much. So that I can say.
Okay, thank you, Mr. We come back to the moderator. Thank you, Ibu Loli.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
Okay, there is one question from Alia. I am Alia Fahimi.
Yeah.
I want to ask you how research in multidiscipline in India increase rapidly today. How the tips so Indonesia can collaborate with researchers from India. Yes, this multidisciplinary research is very much appreciated in India. For example, like I am a field linguist. I work on lesser known languages of South Asia, spoken in South Asia, but I have also worked on religion. Like I have also contributed many papers to Encyclopedia of Hinduism and Tribal Religion. I have also contributed many papers to online education. So the bottom line is like we can diversify. We can also take part in multidisciplinary research practices. So it's not like enforced on us that, okay, if you are a linguist or field linguist, then only you must focus on your topic. If you can diversify, you can diversify. You can work on cultures. You can work on, let's say, literary studies. So this is appreciated. Multidisciplinary approach is quite appreciated in India. And that's why like most of the researchers, like they are moving from their core field to other fields as well. So that we are doing all the time.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Dwai Devi. You are talking about multilingual languages, bilingual and mother tongue languages. Thank you. And I think now we come to the second speaker. Thank you very much, Dr. Amitabh.
Thank you.
Okay, now we come to the second presentation for our keynote speaker, Mr. Rama Octavian ST, MSc. Before he starting his presentation, I would love to recite some of his curriculum vitae. Mr. Rama Octavian is a PhD student in chemical and biological engineering, the University of Sheffield, United Kingdom. And he took his bachelor degree in chemical engineering in Institut Teknologi 10 November Indonesia in 2005 to 2009, and in 2020 to 2012, he took his master degree of science in chemical engineering in National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. Now, from March 22 until now, he is taking his PhD program in chemical and biological engineering in the University of Sheffield, United Kingdom. Okay, Mr. Rahmat. I think
my voice?
yours. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been an honor for me to be invited as keynote speaker in this seminar, international seminar of university community engagement. To be honest, I just know about this kind of activity before I I don't know exactly about this activity, but it's I'm glad to be here, and it's an honor again for me to be invited as a keynote speaker. So yeah, as Bu Loli said, that I'm now undertaking my PhD degree in chemical engineering department. So I hope that there's attendance here or participants here who are coming from chemical engineering. So I will try my best. I will do my best to present my presentation in a simple language. So maybe Bu Loli can also understand, even someone from social science can understand my presentation, hopefully. So let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah. Okay, today I would like to share to all of you about this community engagement activity that have been done during my my work as a lecturer. I am also the lecturer in Chemical Engineering Department, Faculty of Engineering in Brawijaya University, Malang. So it's been a pleasure for me to know all of you here. As I believe that we are in the same boat. We are a lecturer here. So yeah, this is one of research-based, I can say this is one of research-based community engagement activities. So this is before we do any community engagement activity. Previously, we perform an experiment in lab, and then we implement or we applied our experimental results to, and then we share this knowledge to our community service. So before I will explain about I will explain to you all about our experiment activity that has been applied for community engagement service. So we developed adsorbent, solid adsorbent from coconut fiber to be implemented as adsorbent to to convert waste cooking oil into biodiesel feedstock, or even we can reuse the waste cooking oil. Waste cooking oil is a part of liquid waste that should be removed or that should be reused in both for cooking oil again, or we can use it as a biodiesel feedstock. However, when this is my profile, I think Bu Loli has explained to you, has mentioned to you about me. So yeah. So waste cooking oil is a part of liquid waste. This is not, we can say that this is not a dangerous liquid waste like medical waste or something. But if we collect and if we throw away to the environment, I believe that, I'm sure that it can harm our environment. So the better way is we can reuse again, or we can utilize it as a biodiesel feedstock. Right. So we will not rely again, or we will not be dependent on the palm oil, which can make food competitions to us. So we can reuse our waste cooking oil to biodiesel feedstock or into our main cooking oil. However, when we are talking about waste cooking oil, is acid content, or we call it sometimes free fatty acid content, is it's very high. So the main requirement for biodiesel feedstock is the free fatty acid content should be lower than 0.3%. So we need to remove the impurities here. So one of the effort that can be applied to remove the impurities here is by using a solid adsorbent in adsorption process. So we adsorb impurities, and especially for free fatty acid. So we reduce the free fatty acid content from waste cooking oil into this number. 0.3%. So it can be used again. It can be reused as a biodiesel feedstock, or we can reuse as our main cooking oil. So one of the method that can be applied to remove impurities or to reduce the FFA content or for waste cooking oil is by using a membrane. However, in this membrane applications, it's from the previous study, it is shown that it is not relatively effective for acid number reduction. So we need more effective and more cost, more cheaper or more cost-effective process to remove the free fatty acid content in waste cooking oil. So an alternative method is we can use adsorption. So from the previous study, it is effective for FFA reduction. So we employed this method, adsorption, to reduce the free fatty acid content in waste cooking oil. And many adsorbents that can be synthesized or that can be applied for adsorption process. One of them is activated carbon, synthetic polymer, silica-based adsorbent, or new material, new class of material that has been gaining much attention during this decade is a metal organic framework, MOFs. But why we synthesize this activated carbon? Because this activated carbon can be synthesized also from the waste, like from the non-edible part of a the plant. So we synthesize activated carbon from waste to remove waste. So it is part of the preserving our environment, and maybe it's relatively cheap, and it's a relatively simple process to synthesize activated carbon. So here we synthesize activated carbon from coconut fiber to be as an adsorbent for free fatty acids reduction process. So here, so actually there are some raw materials that can be converted into a solid adsorbent. This is a non-edible part of the plant, like rice husk or coconut fiber, or we call it enceng gondok. In enceng gondok is one of gulma, right? One of dangerous plant in river, so we can implement. But this is also one of solid waste that should be converted, because the source of this is as a waste, is as a solid waste, is also very numerous source of coconut fiber. So here in this research, we employed this coconut fiber as a solid adsorbent. So this is the synthesis process that we develop in our research. So we actually, there are three main process in our research. So first is activated carbon synthesizing process, and then characterization of the solid adsorbent. We want to ensure that our activated carbon meets or complies with the national standard, Indonesian standard as an activated carbon. And then we employed this activated carbon for adsorption process for FFA reductions. So this is our reactor. We developed our reactor in our lab. This is carbonization reactors. So we put our coconut fiber here, and then we flow nitrogen gas. So to remove the oxygen, carbonization is the reactions that should not allow oxygen in this reactor. So it's different with combustion process. If we burn the coconut fiber, we will not get the carbon, but it's instead of carbon, we will obtain the charcoal. It's it's very different with carbon, with activated carbon. So we use nitrogen here to remove oxygen or air from here. So there will be no oxygen here. So we react the activate coconut fiber without the presence of oxygen. Right? So this is a carbonization process. And then after we obtain the carbon, we use the phosphoric acid to do chemical activations, right? Chemical activations to remove all its impurities from coconut fiber, and then this one, and then we perform the characterizations based on this national standard, and we also perform any FTIR, Fourier transform infrared analysis to investigate the functional groups contained in our activated carbon. And then finally we employ this activated carbon to do a adsorption process to remove free fatty acid content from waste cooking oil. So we will obtain cooking oil with lower free fatty acid content here. That can be used as a biodiesel feedstock, or we can reuse this waste cooking oil to as our raw material in cooking process, right? So this is the our schematic diagram, and this is the activated carbon that we produce from our method that I explained previously in the previous slides. So this is the three main parameters that we characterize. Actually, there are some of another parameters that should be analyzed or should be investigated to say that this activated carbon can comply with the Indonesian national standard. But here we took only three main parameters, so I cannot say that my activated carbon complies with this SNE because we only analyze only three parameters. So, but from three parameters here is everything is complies with the every parameters complies with the Indonesian national standard. Even after activation, we can get a better performance here, better parameters here. Water content, we can reduce the water content from activation, ash content, and we can get solid adsorbent with higher specific surface area. And this is also, we perform this FTIR analysis. So we have a carbon and hydrogen bond here. So it means that is a non-polar adsorbent. So we can use it as a adsorbent to remove FFA, free fatty acid, because free fatty acid is a non-polar non-polar liquid, non-polar component. So we believe that this free fatty acid can interact with the our activated carbon, because our activated carbon has CH functional group here, carbon and hydrogen functional group. So this is the adsorption process. So from the FFA, our FFA in waste cooking oil is mainly higher than 5%. So we can remove mostly almost 95% here. For adsorption time, we perform in adsorption in a batch system. So we set the time until 100 minutes. But however, this adsorbent can perform only 45 minutes. So it means that until 45 minutes, the performance, this activated carbon will have lower performance. So we need to do something like called regeneration, adsorbent regeneration. So we still need improvement for this process. So we want this solid adsorbent that can perform in longer time. So we need this we need a longer running time, but unfortunately we can only run this adsorbent until 45 minutes with this specific flow rate here. So, but the good news is the FFA output here is mostly meets this criteria or requirement for biodiesel feedstocks. Is we can obtain the cooking oil with the free fatty acid output nearly 0.3%. And this is the other parameters, oil parameters, product characterization. Our product is oil, right? Cooking oil, reuse cooking oil. So we also compare with the Indonesian national standard, and yeah, we can meet this minimum standard of Indonesian standard for cooking oil here. Then after this experiment in the lab, so we share this our knowledge to do this community engagement activities. But before then, this experiment, this research has been published in this journal, Malaysian Journal of Fundamental and Applied Science. It has been indexed by Scopus, but it's still in low impact factor journal. I can say this is a low impact factor journal, not high impact factor journal. So after this publication, no, I think before this publication, we also perform the community engagement activities based on our research that has been done. So our goal is doing a knowledge transfer to our community. Oh, we have this technology. We have this kind of experiment. So hopefully this kind of technology or experiment can be applied in our community to make to preserve our environment. So we can, you know, in Indonesia, there are many waste cooking oils that just been thrown away to our environment. So we want to introduce our technology to our community. This technology can reduce the number of waste cooking oil in our environment. So actually you can use again, you can reuse your waste cooking oil into biodiesel feedstock or your and also we want to introduce our adsorption technology, industrial adsorption technology, even though this is a lab scale, but actually this is based on the industrial adsorption technology to our community, especially to maybe to a science teacher, right? So science teacher in Indonesia, in Malang. Then hopefully we can give insight to the science teacher in high school to do any curriculum development. So we hopefully they can introduce some technologies in chemistry course, or it's not only the theory. So this is the implementation of the chemistry knowledge. This chemistry knowledge can be applied in industrial. So we hopefully we can contribute to the curriculum development in high school educations, higher school educations. Then this is some documentations that we did sharing knowledge. We did knowledge sharing to science teacher. So so we have this kind of technology. Maybe you can use our technology to, you can introduce our technology to your student, or you can use to your own community to preserve our environment, right? And then, yeah, this is some documentation. We also involve some undergraduate students, so they can play a role to our social community. So because one of undergraduate students' role is a social control, right? So they must do something with their with our community. So when we also involve our undergraduate students here. And my future plans here. So now I'm studying doctoral degree in chemical engineering. This is my research focus. So after activated carbon, so I'm being more focused on metal organic frameworks. So I perform any simulations. I perform some simulations for doing screening of MOFs that can be employed for gas absorptions, especially for biogas purifications. So, and then we also, my future plan is also performing a high throughput screening simulation for industrial absorption process, and also performing a techno-economic study, techno-economic analysis. And from this screening, I can guide the experimentalists to do a synthesis process. So this is the best MOF. This is the best metal organic frameworks that can be synthesized in lab, right? And also that can be synthesized in pilot scale for biogas purifications. And then finally, from our experiment, from our research, hopefully we can implement it in our community, like something like this one. We can build, this is my dream in the future. We can build something like, we call it Desa Mandiri Energy, independent village in energy utilization from solid waste, or to be converted into biogas. So as their energy resource in the village, we can put this adsorbent metal organic framework or activated carbon or silica-based materials. So they can produce biogas with a high purity of methane. So they can replace LPG, liquid petroleum gas, with biogas that can have a high calorific value. So they can use the gas here in the longer running than LPG. So it can be more efficient and more cost effective. This is my plan in the future after I graduate from University of Sheffield. Hopefully I can apply my knowledge to do a community engagement service based on my research activities. So build this kind of Desa Mandiri energy in the future. And because in my university, in Brawijaya University, they support us to do a community engagement service, not only research activities, but also a community engagement activities. So in the Brawijaya University, apart from Indonesian higher educations, in our university, they also support with their own funding. Now, Brawijaya University is considered as PTNBH. Maybe all of you have ever heard of PTNBH. So they have their own funding to support their own lecturer to do a community engagement activities. So in Brawijaya University, we have this kind of program, Dr. Mengabdi. So you must hold Dr.
Mati lampu. Mati lampu enggak kan?
Sorry, there is a technical problem from my laptop. Can you hear my voice? Yeah, and
Yes,
then
sir.
can you see my screen? Okay,
Yes, yes, sir.
great. Yeah, perfect. So we have a Dr. Mengabdi program. So let me continue my presentation. Sorry for your inconvenience. So we have a Dr. Mengabdi program. So it's funded by our social LPPM. We call it LPPM. Yeah. So the funding support is up to 60 million rupiahs during 1 year program. This is 1 year program, and they also even have this kind of roadmap. So in the final stage, our LPPM wants to build some kind of we call it this desa binaan. Like I saw you previously, I really want to build my own desa mandiri energy independent village in energy utilizations. So with my research and also for early career researcher, for early career sorry. For early career researcher, we also have this PPPM, Badan Penelitian dan Pengabdian Masyarakat in the faculty level. For early career academia, we will be supported by this PPPM for funding to do any community engagement activities. Maybe the funding support is not as high as Dr. Mengabdi, but even if you have a master degree qualification, you can apply for this funding. Even without any how to say, it's a assistant ahli. Even for you as an assistant ahli or a junior lecturer, you can apply for this funding. So I think that's all that I can share. I'm glad it's been my pleasure to share our community engagement activities in our university. So I'm open for any discussions and questions. Thank you very much for this kind of opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rahmat. Okay, to the audience, we are pleased to have to get some questions from you.
Stop share.
Okay, Miss Hartati Julia Ratna Juwita. Miss Hartati Ratna Juwita.
Ya,
Can
Ibu.
go ahead, ya.
Ya, Bapak izin bertanya tapi menggunakan bahasa Indonesia saja ya,
Ya, nggak
Bapak.
apa-apa. Ya, oke.
Ya, karena nanti pertanyaan justru nanti tak salah.
Nggak apa-apa, Bu.
Ya, Bapak. Jadi saya ingin bertanya seperti ini, berdasarkan dari riset yang Bapak penggunaan teknologi, jadi bisa membantu masyarakat ya, Bapak ya. Jadi pemanfaatan, kita tahu sekarang sumber daya manusia itu bisa dimanfaatkan. Tapi kadang-kadang ya karena diolah oleh tertentu jadi menjadi mahal. Contohnya seperti tadi minyak goreng seperti itu ya Pak ya. Atau misalkan tadi juga Bapak ada memberikan contoh lain seperti gas yang dibuat sendiri seperti itu ya Pak. Hanya saja kenapa ya Pak ya? Saya mungkin banyak sekali teknologi yang seperti itu yang dibuat seperti. Tapi kenapa pada sangat membantu sekali dalam masyarakat. Tapi kenapa tidak tidak terlalu luas seperti itu ya. Jadi tidak semua ini semua gitu. Karena kebetulan di daerah ya itu ada juga gas buatan sama seperti itu ya Pak di ininya. Tetapi hanya selingkungan, tidak dalam jangka yang tidak terlalu jauh seperti itu Pak. Jadi sepertinya pengembangannya itu tidak terlalu mungkin kurang bantuan dari pemerintah atau seperti apa, karena padahal yang seperti itu sangat membantu sekali kepada masyarakat. Kita tahu apalagi sekarang minyak goreng itu mahal sekali. Mungkin teknologi dari Bapak ini padahal bisa membantu masyarakat seperti itu. Ya, mungkin itu saja Bapak. Terima
Ya,
kasih.
saya jawab pakai bahasa Indonesia saja mungkin ya Bu ya hari ini. Jadi sebenarnya ini sih Bu, kalau saya sendiri dari pengalaman saya ya, ketika kita mempresentasikan sesuatu kepada masyarakat, nah saya sendiri pun saya harus mengakui mungkin saya juga punya kelemahan. Tindak lanjutnya setelah program kita presentasi ke masyarakat, nah tindak lanjut itu loh atau monitoring itu yang kadang kita miss. Saya juga harus akui saya miss di situ. Atau pendampingan sustainability-nya, pendampingan ke masyarakat. Ya sudah kayak saya pun harus akui ya. Ketika kita mendapatkan hibah pengabdian dari Dikti atau dari LPPM lah apapun itu, ya sudah itu kayak seperti program gitu. Habis setahun selesai sudah. Nah, alangkah baiknya kita juga ya, mungkin juga introspeksi buat saya juga, kita itu punya roadmap sendiri, nggak hanya di penelitian tapi juga pengabdian nantinya. Oh, roadmap, ya sudah, mitra itu kalau bisa, mitra itu nanti ya itu aja mitra kita, dan kita harus jaga hubungan baik dengan mitra itulah. Itu yang akan kita kembangkan terus dengan mitra yang sama. Saya nggak tahu di Dikti itu apakah boleh ya dengan mitra yang sama setiap tahun, karena pengabdian itu kan mono year kebanyakan ya Bu ya.
Iya.
Kalau di Dikti itu. Nah, kita bisa nggak dengan mitra yang sama, kita adakan terus, didanai terus. Nah, itu juga kadang kita pendanaan ke Dikti itu kan nggak tiap tahun juga kan Bu.
Iya.
Nah, itu juga jadi problem. Mungkin jadi problem ya. Pendanaan itu nggak tiap tahun, kita mau sustain dengan mitra yang sama, akhirnya mau mengembangkan teknologi juga kita nggak punya dana. Nah, kadang juga minta CSR, ya ini kolaborasi dengan industri, dengan CSR di perusahaan itu kadang juga kita juga masih ini kan, masih belum sustainability-nya juga masih belum berjalan dengan lancar juga gitu. Makanya ketika Mas Menteri itu ada apa? Mengembangkan yang namanya kedai reka atau apa itu kemarin ya Bu, itu juga mungkin jadi kesempatan kita untuk bisa kerjasama dengan industri, kita kembangkan teknologi kita terus istilahnya dalam tanda kutip kita rawat hubungan baik dengan mitra kita kembangkan itu. Ya mungkin ke depannya mudah-mudahan bisa seperti itu sih Bu, gitu. Kalau saya ya, ya itu kadang kita monitoringnya menjaga tetap di situ itu kadang juga susah monitoringnya itu kadang juga ya itu permasalahan dari kita mungkin dari masyarakatnya ada kok ribet ya teknologinya tuh ini ya mungkin ada permasalahan juga dari masyarakat juga kadang seperti itu sih Bu. Mungkin itu dari saya. Kalau Bu Artati ada sesuatu lagi yang bisa didiskusikan monggo Bu.
Iya, sebenarnya teknologi yang Bapak ini lumayan ya Pak, sebagai saya pribadi ibu rumah tangga juga seperti itu kan Pak, sangat membantu sebenarnya Pak. Teknologi seperti ini bisa di apa namanya Pak, kita kan saya tahu bahwa itu adalah dari LPDP gitu ya Pak ya, jadi dibiayai oleh pemerintah. Nah sebenarnya kan itu kalau memang bisa di apa ya Pak, dipresentasikan lagi misalkan kepada ya tadi masyarakat yang bisa memanfaatkan teknologi tadi, mungkin dengan bahan-bahan yang mungkin tidak terlalu ini ya Pak ya, tapi sangat membantu seperti itu kan, mungkin bisa lebih di apa ya, misalkan kepada di daerah-daerah seperti itu Pak, yang memang merasakan sekali seperti apa nilai-nilai itu seperti itu Pak. Jadi kalau bisa lebih dikembangkan lagi, jadi hanya LPDP tapi ya masyarakat-masyarakat yang apa ya Pak, pengabdiannya tadi benar kata Bapak tadi, pengabdiannya seperti itu Pak. Nah untuk daerah-daerah yang agak-agak terpencil seperti itu.
Ya, mudah-mudahan ketika saya sudah pulang nanti bisa coba presentasi ke Pemda atau seperti apa, mudah-mudahan ke depannya.
Jadi nanti pakai bel proyek pemerintah nanti Pak,
yang
daerah yang
bisa.
Okay, thank you.
Ya, mudah-mudahan.
Ya, silakan Pak.
Ya. Okay, is there any other questions?
Yeah, from Alia Fahmi, Pak.
Yeah.
From Alia Fahmi, dear Mr. Ratna, it's nice presentation about waste cooking oil reuse to be diesel with absorption with coconut fiber. Why do you choose coconut fiber as material to be activated carbon? Why don't you use coconut shell? Which one better? The second, how do you make coconut fiber as activated carbon? Are you using chemical activator or just water with no any chemical? Thank you. So there are two questions from
Yeah,
Alia
okay.
Fani.
Okay, thank you for the questions from Ibu Alia. So basically why we choose this coconut fiber instead of coconut shell. I mean, if you use coconut shell, maybe it's kind of relatively difficult to be put in the reactor. So we need the pre-treatment process. So we need to something like crush it or reduce the size of the particle itself, right, to be in some specific mesh. But for coconut fiber, the pre-treatment process is not relatively hard compared to coconut shell, and maybe the availability of this coconut fiber, I think this quite more abundant than coconut shell, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if you can correct me if I'm wrong. So we choose coconut fiber because the pre-treatment itself is not relatively difficult compared to coconut shell, and also maybe the water content itself, also the impurities. Maybe it might contain relatively low amount of impurities than coconut shell. That's why we choose coconut fiber. For the activation process, yeah, we use this two activation process. First is we use furnace, right? Furnace in physical activation process. We use furnace in some certain temperature. If I remember correctly, we use 600 degrees C temperature for performing and physical activations in the furnace for 24 hours, if I remember it. And then we use this phosphoric acid, which maybe the concentration of phosphoric acid is 1 molar. Of phosphoric acid. Yeah, we use physical and chemical activations both. I hope it can answer your questions to Bu Alia.
Okay. So thank you. Is there any question from the audience?
Yosa raised her hand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Silakan Bu.
Oke. May I speak in bahasa?
Gak apa-apa.
Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Waalaikumsalam.
Oke, terima kasih sebanyak atas kesempatannya. Terima kasih atas kehadiran Bapak Rama pada seminar kami ya. Mungkin sangat beruntung sekali bisa mengundang dari UK langsung ya Pak ya. Kebetulan orang Indonesia,
Ya,
jadi saya leluasa bertanya. Ini Bapak, saya kan dari 2017 itu sangat tertarik sekali dengan pengabdian. Awalnya hanya lokal saja, hanya di wilayah Sumatera Barat. Kemudian saya tertarik mengajak teman-teman di luar Sumatera Barat seperti Sumatera, teman-teman alumni kami, sarjana UNP. Kemudian saya tidak tahu kenapa, ternyata banyak sekali yang tertarik dari luar daerah gitu. Selain Sumatera, target kami ternyata udah meng-Indonesia dari Aceh hingga Papua, alhamdulillah. Jadi sekarang saya ingin, bukan saya ya, kami khususnya dosen-dosen yang sangat tertarik dengan penelitian pengabdian, mungkin akan melangkah lebih jauh, go abroad gitu Pak. Jadi gimana caranya sih kalau misalnya Bapak kan udah di Inggris nih, udah di luar negeri maksudnya. Kami ingin mengetahui bagaimana sih pola kalau kita kan ada tridharma gitu. Kalau di luar negeri itu di Inggris itu gimana sih dosennya melakukan riset sama community service-nya sama teaching learning-nya gitu. Apakah sama dengan kita? Kemudian ada nggak Pak, bisa nggak kita better gitu nggak gitu? Misalnya Bapak ada link dari universitas mana, nanti kami dari Indonesia akan mewakili Universitas Indonesia, nanti akan mengirim dosen ke sana untuk pengabdian dan dosennya ke sini gitu. Mungkin API nanti bisa memfasilitasi seperti secara formalitas gitu Bapak. Terima kasih Pak Rama,
Ya,
itu
Bu.
saja pertanyaannya.
Ya, saya juga sangat senang kalau ini ya bisa membantu melingkan ADPI dengan dosen-dosen di sini. Sebenarnya kalau bicara diaspora, beberapa dosen yang ada di UK itu ada beberapa dosen Indonesia yang memang sudah menjadi dosen tetap di sini. Nanti saya akan berikan beberapa list mungkin ya, bisa dari ADPI bisa menghubungi beliau-beliaunya. Cuman saya juga secara fisik itu belum pernah bertemu beliau-beliaunya, dosen-dosen Indonesia yang mengajar di UK. Mungkin ada di University of Nottingham, ada di Coventry University, itu ada beberapa. Ya saya tahu beliau, tahu namanya, cuman belum bertemu secara fisik gitu. Bahkan di University of Sheffield pun sebenarnya ada dosen Indonesia yang mengajar di sini. Sebenarnya kalau pola ini ya, pola apa? Bagaimana sih dosen di sini? Sebenarnya ada basically itu ada dua dosen. Jadi dosen yang memang fokus untuk ngajar, teaching position, sama memang teaching dan research. Community-nya mungkin lebih banyak ini sih. Kalau community nggak seperti kita harus terjun ke masyarakat gitu. Yang saya lihat ya Bu, ya mungkin saya juga masih 2 tahun, ya belum, ya mau 2 tahun di sini, jadi nggak terlalu benar-benar melihat, tapi melihat secara ini ya, pakai helikopter view mungkin enggak ya. Yang saya lihat ini dari supervisor saya, mereka itu diwajibkan kalau yang dosen-dosen yang bergerak di teaching dan research itu diwajibkan untuk mencari research grant sendiri. Nah, mungkin ada kewajiban berapa, mereka punya KPI, istilahnya KPI ya. Kalau kita mungkin SKP gitu-gitu ya Bu ya. Di Indonesia itu harus ada research grant berapa. Kalau ada kolaborasi dengan company itu akan lebih bagus sekali buat KPI mereka. Dan kebetulan juga saat ini juga saya sedang kolaborasi dengan supervisor saya dan juga salah satu company di Kanada, itu mungkin salah satu bentuk community engagement-nya gitu. Mungkin itu yang tidak benar-benar terjun ke masyarakat gitu ya, apa ya, mengaplikasikan teknologi kita ke masyarakat, mungkin tidak benar-benar literally seperti itu. Mungkin lebih banyak kolaborasi dengan company sih yang saya pahami. Mungkin nanti ketika saya linkkan dengan dosen yang memang benar-benar dosen di sini, mungkin Ibu bisa bertanya banyak gitu ya. Nanti saya akan berikan list nama dan juga list kontaknya, mungkin insya Allah dalam minggu depan atau kapan gitu, dosen-dosen Indonesia yang di UK. Nah, untuk mengirim dosen di sini ya tentunya harus ada yang namanya MOU gitu kan Bu. Nah, saya juga di sini masih dalam tahapan belajar bagaimana sih membangun kolaborasi dengan chemical engineering yang di University of Sheffield gitu. Bagaimana membuat MOU gitu. Nah, itu yang memang harus diperlukan. Nah, untuk saran saya nanti ya mungkin setelah nanti saya kasih list nama-nama dosen yang di UK, mungkin ADPI bisa menindaklanjuti bagaimana sih membuat MOU antara ADPI dengan beberapa kampus di Inggris gitu kan. Nah, nanti bisa mengirim research atau dalam bentuk community engagement gitu. Jujur saya juga belum bisa memberikan jawaban detail bagaimana caranya mengirim dosen Indonesia ke UK secara ini gitu. Tentunya harus ada MOU. Nanti insya Allah lah saya akan kirimkan list dosennya. Nanti Ibu Yosa bisa berkomunikasi langsung dengan beliau-beliaunya, begitu Bu. Ya.
Terima kasih sekali Bapak Rama. Alhamdulillah ya kita langsung dapat ada dosen dari UK-nya langsung ya. Terima kasih Bapak.
Ya.
Penjelasannya sangat bagus sekali. Ya Ibu Loli, terima kasih.
Ya, terima kasih Bu Yosa. Okay, there any more questions? Okay, we still have another thing that you want to say, sir? Mr. Rahman, is there anything that you want to share with us?
Yeah, okay. It's been pleasure for me to share and to know all of you here as a we are lecturer. So I have maybe in the future, hopefully, for all of you who have the same research topic with me, I'm very open for any collaborations in terms of research activities or in terms of community engagement activities. So please feel free to share with me, maybe Bu Loli. I will send my contact. I think Bu Loli has already my WhatsApp number. So you can share to the, I allow you to share to the participants. So please feel free to contact me after this seminar. Hopefully, we can have any research or community engagement activities collaboration in the future. Once again, thank you so much for this great opportunity for me to share our community engagement activities in my university. Thank you so much, Bu Loli. Okay, that's
Thank
all
you,
from me.
Mr. Rahman.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, we have come to the end of presentation session of our two keynote speakers. Hopefully that the presentation of the two experts delivers much knowledge for us that will be useful for the next future. Thank you very much to Sri Mulyani Indrawati SE, MSc PhD as the Minister of Finance of the Republic of Indonesia, the President of the Association of Community Service Lecturers of Indonesia, Professor Dr. M. Zain M.Hum, Professor Dr. Apridar SE, MSI, as the Executive Committee of ADPI or Rector of Universitas Islam Kebangsaan Indonesia, the Coordinator of Transfer ADPI Program, Yosa Novia Dewi, SPD MPD, the Chair of PkM OSA Batch 7, Dr. Arizar, MED from Tengku Derundang Malabo University, Associate Professor Dr. Sawirman M. as the Executive Committee of ADPI and the Head of Language Center of Andalas University, Associate Professor of Dr. Rafia Wahi, Country Secretary of ADPI Malaysia and Senior Lecturer of University Malaysia Sarawak, Malaysia, Dr. Amitabh Dwivedi from Sri Mada Vaishno Devi University, India, and Rama Octavian STMSE as the student PhD of PhD, University of Sheffield, United Kingdom. Thank you, and lovely thanks to all the committee who have done their best for the successful of our program today. Finally, as a closing, it's time for me to say goodbye. I am Loli Novita. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Terima kasih semua panitia,
Ya,
Bu Sherly,
ya.
semuanya.
Saya izin live ya, Bu.
Terima kasih Bu Loli, Bapak Rama, terima kasih. Terima kasih teman-teman semua di Indonesia.
Terima kasih Bu. Lebih kurangnya Bu penampilannya.
Sama, terima kasih.
negeri. Pada hari ini saya akan pengurusan yang telah dibentuk.
Iya, tadi dia minta bangunkan kalau dia ulang. Agak lama.